The cloth from which he is cut. I mean, that is a
just having a hard time reaching John.
He's hurt. DC was stunned by that head kick. Jones trying to press the issue here. Trying to survive.
He's out.
Road to Gold family, what is going on? We are back, man. That intro video gets me fired up every time.
Here we go again. Here we go again.
What's going on, guys? We're here, Road to Gold, episode 6. We are back in the building. I'm here with my man Ron. I am Dylan. Ron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, I know there's a whole lot of basketball being played right now, March Madness. I know a lot of people have made some brackets. I will say, unfortunately, I haven't been able to make one. I've been busy. Work's been a lot lately. But what about you? Have you been able to make any brackets as of lately?
Well, so far I have. I am in the wire to wire bracket. I am currently, I think I'm tied for first as it stands right now.
Ooh.
The brackets have been going in my favor today. I want to shout out Gene. I want to shout out Duquesne. If you know, you know. I tried to tell everybody, Duquesne, upset alert. You guys are going to see him in the Sweet 16. I'll leave it at that. That's enough basketball, man. We got fights. We got the fight game. We had a good card last weekend. We got another good card up this weekend. Some household names. You again, hate to keep saying it, UFC 300 right on the horizon. So you know the tempers are flaring. Let's take a look back at last week. Like I said, we had UFC Fight Night Tuivasa versus Tybura. It was a good card. Had some finishes. Had some uncharacteristic things happen with the no contest. Had some different things happen. What was your overall thought about this card?
Overall, I thought it was definitely decently entertaining. It was disappointing in the fact that a lot of the guys who I thought were going to win lost. The no contest, I thought was going to be a heater of a fight, ended up being a no contest. They stopped in the second round. You know, it definitely had the makings to build to end up being really good. But, you know, things don't always go your way. So, you know, at the end of the day, definitely a good card worth watching. I'm just disappointed myself because I'm sad.
I definitely have been there, and that no contest. We're gonna talk about the no contest first. Let's get into OSP versus Kennedy. This was a good fight. It started off fairly slow. I don't even want to say slow. I don't like when people say fights start out slow because there was a lot going on here. There was a lot of range finding, a lot of distance management. These are two light heavyweight guys that I can promise you are not weighing in at 205. These are borderline heavyweights in there. Kennedy, he's about 6'5", if I'm correct, 6'5", 6'6". OSP, former Tennessee Titan, former football player, solid, played on the defensive line. I mean, these are two big guys. So it's no shock that they get in there and kind of want to feel it out and find their range, find their distance, find their timing. I can assure you after that first round, they definitely got to it. Round 2, heated up. OSP switching stances, started to find his jab more. Took the round. So Kennedy took round 1, OSP round 2. Round 3 was for all the marbles. And Ovince St. Preux, being the veteran he is, was able to edge out the victory over the younger guy of Kennedy. Taking a look at OSP, I mean, like I said, he's a veteran. He's been in there. He had title fights against the likes of John Jones back when Jones was at light heavyweight. How did you feel about Ovince St. Preux after this?
Well, look, I was surprised. I'm a huge Kennedy fan. I love Kennedy. When I watched Kennedy fight, seeing him, his size, his speed, sometimes I would like him to be a little more aggressive just because you can see how athletic and how fast and strong he is. But he likes to typically, you know, at least the first round, pace himself a little bit, find his range, which I appreciate because he does get inside through a lot of heavy knees, elbows, hooks, front kicks, stuff like that. But very surprised by Vincent Prue. Definitely, I definitely am someone who thought his time was over. So I know we talk about, the Poyes, the Gaethjes, people who, have a lot of fight miles and things that, yeah, even Rob, I guess.
Rob
Yeah.
Whitaker.
But over St. Prue, I checked him off a long time ago.
I feel you.
And the fact that he actually got this win against Kennedy, look, I mean, he may be a little older. He may have a lot of experience. He's been around since like 2011, 2012 days. But hey, he showed that even the young guns need to still be on their toes. He's not nothing to play with.
And boy, he had to dig deep for this one. I'm not gonna lie. Like you said, Kennedy, up and coming prospect, a killer, a savage. I saw him knock out Carlos Olberg, who's one of Israel Adesanya's teammates. He's a savage. But seeing OSP in there, I could tell that he had been in there with the best of the best, because he was able to pull things out of his hat in round 3 when, quite frankly, he looked like a 40-year-old fighter who maybe not necessarily was on the couch, but wasn't necessarily training all that much, because he looked gassed, he looked tired, and I don't want it to be confused, because I know I'm the defender of gatekeepers. I'm the defender of the old guard, like you said, the Poiriers, the Gaethjes, the Whitakers. Like, those are my guys. I'm not gonna put OSP with them. Like you, I thought his time might have been over, especially after his last few performances that were very lackluster, very uninspiring. It looked like he didn't want to be in there, almost like Derek Brunson. Like he just didn't look like he wanted to be there. But I can assure you, after this fight, it looked like he did. And quite frankly, it was interesting to see him take out a top prospect, because, like I said, Kennedy is a savage. Like,
Yeah, he'll be back for sure. He won't let this drag him down.
No. He'll be back. He has a 12-5 record. Not the greatest, but not the worst. I don't even need to ask about getting back into the picture, because I don't foresee OSP getting back in the picture. I
Very
guess
surprising if you did.
no. I don't think so. I guess we can look at maybe some fun fights. I'm just gonna say a few names. Let me know if any of these interest you.
Okay.
Dominic Reyes.
It does interest me, more or less because Dominic Reyes is a guy who, since the John Jones fight, hasn't always looked up to par like what he used to be. So that could be a fight that could be interesting, because that could really show if he is really ready to go back to the top, go back to being a contender, or if, he really is one and done, unfortunately, as far as his title contendingship.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I think I'm all out on Dominic Reyes.
I want to be in. I want to be in.
I feel you. Me too. Former FCS college football player, played DB. Like, I wanted him to be so successful. He's just taken some vicious knockouts. Like,
He has.
as
He
vicious
has.
as you can imagine, he has taken those, and it might catch up with him. So, I don't know. We'll see. Again, this is very high, but what about Anthony Smith?
I'd like to see it because I've never been high on Anthony Smith. So I want to see if Anthony Smith can take out OSP. Because if he did, at least he'll tell me, okay, he at least, is a little more serious than I thought he was. Because I think that's my issue. He's a very unserious fighter. Wins, loses, wins, loses. The thing, he'll talk big game to challengers, and then he'll lose the fight ultimately. And Anthony Smith in the beginning years ago definitely was one of those guys that was up and coming, and he definitely looked like he has some good striking. He has the ability to actually compete for a title shot, even though he did lose to John Jones. He could maybe come back and do it again, but then he'll get to a losing streak, winning streak, losing streak, and I was like, okay, so you're not serious. So maybe that could be a good fight to boost him, maybe drop him. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, Anthony's 10 right now, so I don't envision that happening. OSP can't be really anywhere near the top 15 right now, but it's just interesting to see. I mean, there's some other guys here like Ryan Spann, Alonzo Menafield that I wouldn't mind seeing, but this, quite frankly, it doesn't have that many implications on it. So I mean,
Oh,
we
for
can,
sure.
yeah. So we can move on. Quite frankly, I'm excited to talk about this next one because this was a weird, controversial fight that ended up in a no contest. We had Brian Battle, the former tough contestant and champion, versus Ainge Lusa. And just for everyone that didn't see the fight, round one, Brian Battle looked like he was on. He was hitting on all cylinders. He was beating Lusa up pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty one sided. And towards later in the end of the round, he did eye poke him. He poked him with his thumb, and it was legit. It was a legitimate eye poke,
Mm-hmm.
not taking anything away from that. They slowed it down. They showed it legitimate eye poke. And typically, when you get eye poke, they give you 5 minutes. They don't always tell you, but you're entitled to 5 minutes to recover from it. And Ainge Lusa, he didn't take 5 minutes. He took about 2.5, and he said, "Nah, I'm done. I
Which is
can't
crazy.
continue. I can't see." Which, if you saw the post fight, they announced it as a no contest. Brian Battle gets in Ainge Lusa's face, has some choice words for him, calling
Yep.
him a bunch of different names, saying you took the easy way out. He gets on the mic after and he says, "I was winning that fight. He didn't want to fight." Ainge Lusa's talking about, "I'm going to kill you," like all riled up. I guess all of this happening post fight. First off, before we even get to that, what did you think about the round that we did see?
Hey, Battle. I looked at the film, the preciseness, the aggressiveness, the person he was in there. What was definitely not what I saw in film. If I would have knew he was gonna come out and do Lusa like that, definitely would have said he was going to win that fight. But like we said, it was pretty much one sided. Lusa couldn't do too much with him. Battle was it was whatever he wanted to throw, whether it was a feint or he was just setting him up for it. At the end of the day, whatever the shot was, he was throwing, it was connecting, and that's good growth. That's a good way from the growth. He showed that he can not just be the guy just counter striking, backing up, trying to find these different shots. He can see when he smells blood. He can let me put it on him a little bit. Up until the eye poke, I thought okay, like Lusa, I said you were going to win this fight. I need you to come back as round 2 and show me that you are the aggressor, heavy hitter, high energy fighter that I've seen in the past. Now, up until the moment of the eye poke, I thought it was very interesting that, like you say, you get 5 minutes. He took his time, took a step back. I'm thinking most of the time we see eye pokes and the fighter, he'll okay, I'm good now. He come back in. Rarely we've seen eye pokes in the fight. When the eye poke has in the fight, is usually pretty bad. Like you see a scratch, a scar,
Right.
you see something on the eye that literally, okay, like this was pretty, really bad. Like you
Like
probably
Bilal
go to
versus
the
Leon.
hospital after this.
Like Bilal versus Leon. When
Yeah,
Leon poked
exactly,
Bilal, like
exactly,
you could literally see the blood vessel. Not the vessel, but you could see the blood in his eye.
exactly. And situations like that, you know what? Right, no contest, whatever it is. Hey, we should go to the hospital, fix that. I was staring at my screen pretty hard. I was staring at the screen pretty hard.
I was
I
looking. It
didn't see, and then the whole scuffle at the end.
was
Look,
weird.
even Battle said it. Where was this energy when he was evaluating you? What was this energy in the fight? Like, it definitely gave bad vibes. Like maybe he was looking for a way out. I don't like to have to think that, but the energy he had coming out, I'm gonna kill you. You had a chance to do that.
You did.
You had a chance to do that about 5 minutes ago.
You
You
were in
you
a
didn't
fight.
want to. No, that's not the time you want to do it. You want to choose your time and place to go killing him. Come on now. It wasn't a good look at all.
Yeah, it's very weird energy. To because like you said, you get 5 minutes, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've been eye poked a bunch of times in my life. I've definitely been poked in the eye, and it definitely is one of those like it can be devastating. But I've seen guys push through way worse. I saw Daniel Cormier face Stipe with one eye. I mean, he got eye poked so bad he
Yeah.
had to get like a procedure done after. All the guys John Jones eye poked, like all the guys he's eye poked. I mean,
Relax.
I mean, I can't count on two hands the amount of guys he's eye poked and kept fighting. Just a joke, I respect John, but we've seen guys fight through. I mean, Peter Yan, we just found out, fought with a torn ACL. Jack Maddalena, 299, also. He fractured his forearm in round 1, went on to get a win. We've seen guys fight through crazy injuries. And I'm not saying an eye poke isn't better or worse than any of those, but we've seen guys come back from the eye pokes. Like I said, the Leon versus Bilal fight, that was a bad eye poke. He literally couldn't open his eye. And when I was looking at Ainge Lusa, and I saw him talking to the doctor, his eye looked fine, bro.
I was looking hard.
Bro, I was looking. He was moving it around. He was, attentive. I'm like, okay, get a little rest. You're probably a little tired. You're getting beat a little bit. Take time. You got 5 minutes.
Gather yourself. Gather it.
That's what I thought. And boy, did he take the easy way out. I agree with Brian Battle. I mean, ever since Battles came down to welterweight, he has been on point. He's shown to be a counter striker. He's shown to be able to put the pressure on. He's evolving right before our eyes.
He is.
He's definitely evolving, I guess. And this is one thing they asked him after. I want to get your opinion. Do we run this back? Do we reschedule it? Or do we look forward?
I think about the outside things. The outside things being, did he run from this? Was this a fight that Lusa really ran from? Typically, I want to run this back. I want to run this back because on paper, this is a fight that I think makes not only sense, but even in their styles, I think, it shows a difficulty for both of them to be able to fight each other. But at the same time, Lusa, do you deserve this? Do you deserve the opportunity to run this back? I want to say he doesn't deserve the opportunity, though I think that's what the right thing is to do. I don't think he deserves the opportunity. I think you have him maybe fight someone else. And then, if you want to be a UFC champion one day, if that's what you're in the business for, that little eye poke is something you have. I'm not one trying to tell the people how they feel about if their injuries or whatnot. But when it comes to something like that, a championship fighter, imagine that being a championship fight. Would you have quit then? I don't know.
Fight should be a championship fight.
I don't know. So ultimately, I'm gonna say no. Don't run that back. Have him fight somebody else, and then now he has to fight one extra person just to get back to where he would have been if he was to have beaten Battle.
And that's kind of what Battle talked about in his post-fight presser with Michael Bisping. Is he said, honestly, I'd be down to run it back. There's some bad blood now. Could maybe sell. All that's fine. And I agree with him. I'd want to see that fight just because of the bad blood, actual bad blood that's involved now. But he said, ultimately, I got bigger goals than him. He said, if you watch the fight, you know that I won that. And I need to go up from here. He didn't necessarily call anybody out, but he said top 15. He said he wants somebody in the top 15. Do you want to see Battle versus top 15?
I would. Seeing what I saw that fight, his growth, knowing what he can do, especially, I think, yeah. I think I would like to see him fight someone in the top 15.
I think he's ready. I think his style is good. He's evolving, like I said, before our eyes. I think we got something there with him. But before we move on, I want to get your opinion on this as well. If you're a ref, and I know you're a John Jones fan, so I just bear with me here.
Okay.
If you're a ref, how are you handling eye pokes? I know how I am. How are you handling eye pokes?
We're definitely going to take the time out. I'm going to tell him, I believe, take your time, take up to 5. I want him to know that if that's what you need, we're going to let you do that. I'm going to probably give him, I'm probably not even going to look at him for at least 2 minutes. Because I don't want him, I don't want him coming back too early thinking I'm pressuring him, whatever. If he tells me he's ready, that's one thing. But I'm going to walk off, just make sure everything's all good with the cage, make sure both fighters are all right, are safe, make sure the corners aren't talking to them during the timeout for at least 2 minutes. I'm gonna come back to him after 2 minutes just to check in, see if he is ready. At that point, I'm going to, if he's still blinking hard, if he's still acting like there's some problems with the eye, okay, bring the doctor. Bring the doctor in. I'm gonna stand there with the doctor and I'm gonna ask the doctor, hey, do you think he can continue? Can he see? Do you see any blood? Do you see any problems with his eye that can cost him, an actual issue in the fight that can lead to a loss? And at that point, if the doctor comes back, I mean, if he says he can't see, I get it, but see, that's why I think he was really running from the fight, man. Because there was nothing there to show. I mean, I get it. Maybe it hurt more than we saw, but there's nothing there that really showed that he took the damage that he's claiming that he took. I'm sure after he walked in the back, he probably felt stupid.
They said that on the broadcast. It's kind of like a football player saying my head hurts. It's like the magic word to get out of a fight is if you have an eye issue and you say I can't see. It's kind of like you're begging to be the fight to be canceled. That's why oftentimes you'll see, these top fighters and they can't see. Their eye is, completely swollen.
I'm good.
It's cut. They said, no, like I'm good. I can see. And then they're like, what am I holding up? And they're struggling. They're struggling trying to read it. And they finesse it. They get it out. I agree with you. Also, when do you take a point for an eye poke? Not saying this specific fight, but just think about MMA in general. Would you be quick to take a point, or are you? Because I feel like a lot of refs are not quick to take points. I rarely see points getting taken for eye pokes.
Okay, if Losa isn't as sweet as he is, and he does come back into the fight, but he does claim the injury is pretty bad, I'm going to give a hard warning. After that hard warning, if it happens again, if it's a swipe, it's one thing. If it's if it's bad enough to have another timeout, I would take a point. If it's just a swipe of the eye, he can step back, shake it off, come back. I'm gonna pause it for a moment just to make sure he's good. But we're gonna get back to it though. But if it's as bad as he claims it was, I'd give a hard warning as long as he came back to the fight. But after that hard warning, I start taking points away. Okay. But outside of that situation, though, as long as it's incidental, it's fighting, especially guys that have longer limbs, bigger reach. They like to use their reach to get people off of them. I keep reminding them, keep your palm, hands up. Don't have them straight, have them up. Herb Dean loves to say that. I'm gonna give you the reminder because if it happens, I'm reminding you it happens. I can see in that situation, I'd be quick to take a point. If I'm constantly reminding you and then you somehow do end up an eye poke, a decently bad one, bro, that's a point. Come on over here. We're about to tell everybody about to walk around this cage and take this point away from you because that's crazy. Outside of that, I'd be fair about it. I know accidents happen. It could happen maybe 2 times accidentally as long as it's not too bad.
Okay, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Accidents do happen. I just know if I was a ref, I feel like I would be very harsh about eye pokes. Depending on the situation. If you have your hand extended with your fingers up, I'm going to be very harsh. I'm going to be very harsh. I'm going to be very quick. You get one of those, second one, eye poke. Now, obviously, if there's a clinch, because what happened with this fight is Lusa was going in for a takedown or a clinch situation. He was trying to get close, and then he kind of feinted it, and then Battle went to push him off. But he wasn't sure, like he kind of bent his head down. So when he went to push him off, that's where the eye poke was. A situation like that, that's very incidental. You can't really control that. That's just chance. Now, if you're JJ, if you're John Jones and you're walking around with your 85-inch reach and you're using that like that, like, no, I'm gonna be very harsh. Close your fist, throw a jab, do something. Don't hold your fingers out. I'm not with that.
What's crazy is, but I get it though, because like it's very unnatural to fight with your hand up like this. it's unnatural. You typically want to, you want to have at least kind of like a halfway, just to be able to, ball it up quickly or parry with your hand, a strike coming in to cup it and like move it out the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, and that's more natural to do. They teach pairing with your hand, in different all kinds of mixed martial arts disciplines, and even a little bit of some boxing stuff like that. So I get that, and it would suck if it's fight changing. If it's fight changing, look, hard warning, JJ. Hard warning. Hard warning. I know it wasn't I know it wasn't on purpose. But that is fight changing, and now you have a leg up from this point forward. If it happens again, it's an immediate point.
Hey, Rampage said he was doing it on purpose. I'm just going by what Rampage said.
He's a funny guy. He was joking.
Was he? I mean, I don't know. Either way, I wouldn't mind seeing it again, just because of the bad blood. Wouldn't mind if they gave Battle a top 15 opponent. I guess we'll see. Main event, man. What can Tai Tuivasa still headline a card? I mean,
Nope.
He went out there versus Tybura. It was a rapid first round, rapid pace. Everything was exciting, and then eventually the fight went to the ground and he got submitted. Can he what do we do with Tai Tuivasa? He's one of the greatest personalities. He came out to pocket full of sunshine. He came out to these. He's a great personality, but it's just frustrating to watch him go down the skid. What do we do with him?
Keep him in the mix purely because he's a great personality. I think he does sell a little bit. He's a crowd favorite. Because of that, you can have him headline other fight nights. You can throw him in a prelim of a pay-per-view, and if you really want him to kind of shine a little bit, if you do want to have him, people like him. Maybe you do throw him a couple, couple easy fights. Maybe pad his stats a little bit. He's a fun guy. He's fun to watch. People love the shoey and stuff. Hey, why not? So for that and that reason only, I can see him still making his way, headlining some fight nights. I can see him on some definitely not any main cards, but some prelims of a pay-per-view. But if you're not keen to, you don't care about that kind of Dana White, if you don't care about the camaraderie he brings when he comes out, then throw him some. I don't know. Let him find it somewhere else. Honestly, go to one. Maybe we can get you back some other time. Maybe we can get you back at the end of that contract. But you need to prove something else to me because you're wilding,
bro. We can't cut Ty, bro. We can't cut Ty. I feel you. I do feel you. Other people have been released for a lot less, but Ty. I mean, I'm looking at. He got knocked out by Cyril. He got finished by Pavlovich. He got submitted by Volkov, which is crazy. Yeah. And then he got submitted here. That's 4 finished losses in a row. And
That's
even
bad.
with that, I still can't say, man, Ty, you need to get out of here. I still can't say that. I'm sorry.
If he lost one more time by finish, could you say it then?
Think
about it. Whoever he'd fight next is going to be a nobody. If he got finished by a nobody for a 5th time, oh yeah, you're gone. You're gone, buddy.
Here's my thing. There's some guys in the UFC who I don't want to say he exceeds. There's some people who almost exceed the sport. And there's obviously extreme situations like a Conor McGregor. Conor could lose 20 fights in a row.
Oh, for sure. He's
still going to headline whatever card he wants to. For sure. There's guys like Tony Ferguson who are on 5-6 fight losing streaks, still finds his way onto pay-per-views,
right?
As the 3rd fight because the fans love him. Ty is on the border of being in that. He's on the border. I'm not going to say he's immune because he's not. Ultimately, people want to see you win. And if you don't have that history, I mean, Tony can do that because we saw Tony.
Oh, yeah.
And what he was.
Huge history.
And, largest winning streak, should have faced Khabib for the title a few times. We've seen what he's done. We haven't necessarily seen that with Ty. And that's why I feel like he's on the border. So I don't know if we can cut him, even if he loses this. I mean, if he gets knocked out in this next one, I wouldn't be mad. It'd be like a Darren Till situation. Like, hey, you're young, we
Shout out to
like
my
you.
dog.
Yeah, I know. Hey, big Darren Till fans over here. But it's similar. Great start. The UFC pushes everything behind him. And I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know if he just got exposed.
He don't want it.
I don't know I don't know. Might not have wanted it anymore. But we
Baron
saw what
White.
happened to him. And is that similar to what's happening to Ty?
Maybe I think he maybe got a little too complacent. I think he really felt his knockout power. He knows he needs to land one. He's going to eventually land one. And these top dogs, these Gans, Volkovs, like they're for real. They're for real. They're not top contestants for the past like a year, 2 years for no reason. These are good fighters. That's why I say when it comes to the heavyweight, the top of the top in the heavyweight division, it's not just guys who can get finishes. It's guys with skill who can get finishes.
Mm.
Like maybe the top 8 are probably like all guys that you put them against anyone below them, it's not only going to be a finish, but they're going to outclass them.
Right.
I get it. You can be big, you can be strong, and hey, you can get some wins off of that. But once you fight an opponent who actually has some skill, the top heavyweights, they have that skill. It's not just guys throwing. They know what they're doing. It's strategic out there.
Tai Tuivasa versus Jazier Rosenstrike. Who are you taking? I'm upset you have to think about this.
I'm taking Ty.
Oh, you talked all this stuff. You talked all this stuff, and then you're taking Ty over Jazier.
So, but you know how I feel about Rosenstrike.
Which is crazy to me.
Like Rosenstrike, he's exciting. I think here's my issue. My issue with Rosenstrike is he hasn't grown. I feel like he hasn't grown as a fighter. I feel like he's pretty much the same fighter who fought Francis Ngannou once upon a time. And that was a loss. I mean, granted, especially that time, Francis, he could have possibly done the same thing to Francis at the time. But he doesn't strike me as a guy who's trying to get better. He's like, he feels me. I feel like he's here for a check, which is okay. There's nothing wrong. Get your money, man. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But Rosenstrike, he comes off very unserious. Ty doesn't come off unserious. Ty he's losing, which is making him unserious. And as unfortunate as it is, I really think Ty wants to get back to being a contender, which that's a good fight to put him up against. Put him against Rosenstrike. Look, that fight, if Rosenstrike won that, I would have to respect Rosenstrike. I would have to. If he beat Ty, especially by knockout, I'd have to respect him. And at that point, I'd have to, okay, he has a chance to actually go back up these rankings and fight for a title shot.
I don't know. I'm just kind of blue that you feel this way about Rosenstrike. Like, I think you have it backwards. I think Ty is the one that's more unserious.
Ty wants to be serious, though.
We haven't seen Ty be serious since he fought Gon. And I don't even know if he was serious back then. I mean, he was only serious because they were saying, Ty, if you win this fight, you're gonna fight for the belt. You're gonna fight John Jones. We had talks of Tai Tuivasa versus John Jones. Like that's
Isn't that crazy?
That's what we were speaking about. And he was forced to be serious because anytime you get put in the conversation with John Jones, you have to be serious. Other than that, I don't think he's been serious since. And then you got guys like Rosenstrike. I mean,
they're in similar boats, but in different trajectories. Ty is currently trending down while Rosenstrike is trending up. But until Rosenstrike gets that win or two, Ty has it, man. Like he needs to get serious in the gym. Like he has it. Rosenstrike, he strikes wild. He throws these wild overhands and looping hooks. When I watch him fight, it looks like there's no strategy to it besides how am I going to throw this overhand right to connect. That's what it looks like. I'm not saying that's his game plan. Obviously, he's a decent fighter. Don't get me wrong, but that's what it looks like watching him. At least Ty, he has the boxing stance. He's moving around, big guy. He has a little lateral quickness to him. He can get in and out a little bit. Like watching Ty is looking at a boxing heavyweight. It looks like he actually wants to get a win. It just so happens he gets himself in these situations. And, yeah.
I think me and you need to sit down and watch some. I need to walk you through some Jazier tape because I understand what you're saying. Because when he fought Francis in 2020 during COVID, the fight lasted like 45 seconds. It was a lot of heavy arm flailing, arm overright hook, like very sloppy. Just hey, one of us is getting put out. Jazier Rosenstrike is a Derek Lewis with kickboxing. That's how I said it when he fought Gazib a few weeks ago. And I'll say it now. He's a world-class kickboxer. Look at his kickboxing record. He has the credentials to be in there with the best of them, skill for skill. Now, yes, when you possess power that he does, like I said, he has Derek Lewis power. When you have that type of power, you're bound to use it in MMA with maybe some looping punch. You can get away with it. Some looping hooks, looping overhands. But when it comes down to it, he is a kickboxer. Now, he's been submitted, he's been finished up and down. I'm not saying he should fight for the belt, but to Ty's at 10, Jazier's at 11. I don't think that's a good fight because I think Jazier gets him out of there relatively not quick.
Think that's crazy. I think that's crazy.
I know
Ty. Here's the difference. Well, Ty has lost to top contenders.
Not right now.
Okay. That's the first. That's the first, though. I get it. I definitely get it. That's the first. I think Ty is at least a middle tier fighter. This was a bad loss, but everything before that, those were top contenders that Rosenstrike doesn't win those either.
I mean, I can't argue that because they both did face Volkov and they both lost. Jazier lost to what's his name? Jalton Almeida.
Yep, Almeida.
Got subbed by him. So I'm not gonna say Rosenstrike is by any means a guy that's gonna go in there and just get these finishes all the time. But man, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that Ty is serious at this point. I want to give him a softball. I almost want to give him somebody unranked. I know they can't really do that, but I almost want to give him somebody unranked. Like I'm looking this top 15. I mean, he already beat Derek Lewis, so I can't say anything about that. He can't fight anybody above him. He can't fight. He just lost to Tiberius. Can't fight Almeida for sure. Can't do that. And can't fight Blades. Stipe, guys like that are too high. I don't really know where he goes.
Battle of unseriousness. Have him fight Rosenstrike, and whoever wins is serious. Whoever loses unranked.
Rosenstrike's gonna prove to you that he belongs. Like
if he beats Ty, I'd actually believe it because I don't think he can beat Ty. But if he beat Ty, I'd give him his flowers. I'd call him a serious fighter.
All right, maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see some good heavyweight talk. But we got a good fight card coming up. UFC Fight Night. We got Amanda Ribas versus Rose Namajunas, a women's flyweight fight. Very interesting. Very got some title implications there. I'm not gonna lie. But before that, we got a few fights. Quickly want to talk about. One that's very interesting to me. Edmund Shabazian versus AJ Dobson. This is a very interesting middleweight fight for me for a few reasons. One, Edmund Shabazian was one of Ronda Rousey's main training partners during her MMA career, which is very interesting because I remember when he made his UFC debut, and this was probably 2020. He's very young. Like he's a very young fighter. I mean, he's 26. He's our age. And he's been in the UFC for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I remember when he made his debut, they were talking about this is the guy who was training with Ronda. He had these high expectations, and boy, did they put him on a fast track. Like just like we were talking about with Ty, put him on a fast track. Had him facing Derek Brunson, Jack Hermanson, Nasruddin Imavov. He lost all 3 of those fights. And so since then, he's been a little up and down. They're trying to give him some good comp. He has a tough fight here with AJ Dobson, Ohio's finest strong style member. I don't know if he's still a member of strong style, but I know he came up in strong style. So he's around these parts. Big middleweight, was on Dana White's Contender Series, goes for the finish. He's going 100 miles an hour. This is a good fight on paper. What are your initial thoughts?
Huge Shabazian fan. Please, like, get in the please work on your wrestling defense. Stand up, get back to your feet. He has good clinch work. Don't get me wrong. He throws some really good knees in the clinch.
Sure.
He actually has a couple slide trips. He knows how to control the clinch pretty well, get some good strikes in. But bro, please, like, get you a good knee in, elbow, a little hook, back off of him. Do not go to the ground. Even though he does have some slick submissions as well. He can throw up a nice little triangle. He can throw up a nice little armbar. But if you're an above average wrestler who knows how to control on the ground, he's kind of in danger. And I hate that because he's a really good striker. He's sharp. He moves well. He can get in front of you. He can counter. He's always playing a mind game with you. He can feint, hit you with something different. I like him a lot. He had, like you said, young guy. They fast tracked him. You can see why they fast tracked him. You can see why he had the hype when he first came to the UFC. And honestly, I believe it's still there. I believe he's still the fighter that we think he is. He just needs to. The word isn't even get smarter, because I know he's aware of his faults. I think he needs to just get maybe a little bit stronger. Maybe work on like not being able to be taken down so easily. Work on different like get ups. Like, don't be comfortable being on the ground. Don't be comfortable going for submissions, because that's just not necessarily your thing. Like, get comfortable getting up. That's when you be comfortable. Like, work on every technique possible to get back up. If he can work on that, I feel like he has what it takes to really climb up the ranks. When it comes to AJ, he is interesting. He's an interesting fighter because he's a little quick twitch. He has like some, like, he starts off fights like kind of high energy. He's moving around, bouncing around a little bit, at times. And he has really good head movement. The thing is that he almost focuses so much on defense, he doesn't play good offense. He has great head movement. He can throw a jab. He'll then get a little complacent. He'll just be 2 jabs and get out of there. Like, throw a combo, man. Let me evade, jab. Okay, like, he thinks that can win you a fight if you're facing someone else who is not super aggressive, is not gonna, try to outstrike you as far as like point striking. Like, that can work against someone like that. But Shabazian, he can take it to you. He can throw a crazy body kick, throw some hooks, uppercuts. He can get you in the clinch, like I said, dirty it up a little bit. Against Shabazian, I don't know if it's going to be enough. I believe Shabazian's going to win this fight. And unless AJ comes in there with a more aggression to him, not get lackadaisical, just point fighting and trying to evade, I don't see him being able to outstrike Shabazian.
Man, you're going against Ohio's finest?
Unfortunately.
Going against OH? Crazy. I got to go with AJ here, man. I got to. I understand, your breakdown was very accurate, and Edmonds a savage. He came in the UFC 11-0 or something like that for a reason. He was a top prospect. I mean, bro, they threw him in against Derek Brunson.
Crazy.
In 2020, when he was that's 4 years ago. He was 22. Derek Brunson had already fought Israel Adesanya. Like, he had already been in them trenches, and you threw a 22-year-old at a grown Derek Brunson. I get why they did, but like you said, he needs to work on his wrestling. You throw him in there against a wrestler, okay? Maybe you give him a striker that Who'd they give him the next fight? Jack Hermanson, another Greco-Roman
Not his
national
fight.
champ wrestler. And it's like, brother, come on, what are we doing? This is how we're treating our prospects. I understand we think he's this, that, and the third, but I don't know. That's not a good matchup for him. And since then he's been a little up and down. AJ though, I don't know, man. He's a good grappler. In
He
his
is.
contender series fight, I don't know if it was the adrenaline pump, but he was a million miles an hour on the feet and on the ground. He displayed his grappling. That could pose a problem for Edmund, bro. If AJ can get this to the ground, I think it could get a little dirty for Edmund.
I feel like Edmund, he has to, like I said, when you're a prospect of this nature, I think like you have to have it up here too. You can't. It's usually not just natural, just God given talent. You're a smart fighter as well. He has to know AJ does have wrestling ability, and he is a high energy guy. So hey, how about spend camp working on takedown defense, work on some reversals. I know like there's you can do some simple things, especially against someone like AJ Dobson, where like I mean I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler or a bad fighter at all, but someone like him, I think you can pull off like maybe the Kimura defense. He gets you in the clinch, tries to take you down, grab the arm. If he tries to drag you down, he'll naturally put himself in a clinch or put himself in a Kimura. Do simple stuff like that. Threaten submissions while standing up to leer him off. If he wants to get his head in there, hey, don't pull guillotine. Just wrap his head up. Wrap his head up. Don't give it to him. He's gonna probably want to try to get out of the situation. Let him get out, push off, get back to the middle of the ring. Just work. You spend this camp on reversals, getting up, and submissions. Your hands are going to be there. You should be spending maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours in camp a day working on your striking. Outside of that, work on straight wrestling, and then I think you will be fine.
I don't know, man. This is going to be a good fight. Like I said, I do think AJ's more well-rounded. I do think Edmund is the more precise striker. I guess we'll see. I'm excited. AJ was scheduled to face Trayshawn Gore. Another guy that we've been high on since he was actually on the season with Tough against Brian Battle. They never fought, but that was, I don't know. I think AJ has a good chance to get him out of there. We'll have to see.
Sure.
We'll have to see. Co-main event, we got Carl Williams, Justin Tafa. This is going to be a good one. Like I said, we got Carl Williams in there, 9-1. Veteran. I shouldn't even say veteran because he's fairly new to the UFC, but when he fights with a veteran presence.
He definitely does.
Versus a Justin Tafa who, unfortunately, a few fights ago had to pull out. His brother filled in for him, and now he's filling in for him. So, should be on paper a very close match. Tafa Southpaw. What are your initial thoughts here?
We lost Ty. We're about to gain Tafa. I think Justin Tafa, what we thought Ty was, unfortunately, is what Justin Tafa might actually be. A little more nimble than Ty. Crazy knockout power. He's 7-3, 7 wins by KO. That's what he does. 5 of them first round finishes. That's what he does.
True.
He moves very well. His idol is Mark Hunt. So literally coming up on knockouts and striking is his entire thing. I will say Carl Williams is an interesting matchup because he happens to be a pretty decent wrestler. I don't know much about Justin Tafa's wrestling defense, his grappling, and if he can take someone like, because Williams he's gonna pressure. He's striking to set up takedowns the entire time. If he clinches you against the cage, you're going for a takedown. If he is trying to throw some jab, maybe a body shot, that body shot is going to get landed, and then he's trying to grab you for a takedown. He's fighting for takedowns. Tafa, you need this is gonna be eye opening. What happens this fight is gonna show me, can Tafa really defend? Can he counter correctly? Especially a lot of heavyweights love countering takedowns with like uppercuts. Can
Church
you
plays.
time it? Can you time it well? Can you time a good knee? Can you push him off of you? Can you not allow him to dictate against the cage in the clinch? If he can beat Carl Williams while Carl Williams is kind of getting off some of his stuff, I'm gonna be fully sold on Tafa. I'm gonna be sold.
He's
I'm
the
a, I'm a,
tie
I'm I'm
replacement.
on the Tafa train. I think
He's
he's gonna win, and I'm very excited to see this fight.
he's the tie replacement.
He's my type replacement at least.
Oh man, I mean, one thing I find interesting is similar to Ty. They both, I would imagine, cut weight to get down to the heavyweight limit of 265. Because there were reports of Ty in camp 300 plus. I don't know Tafa. I'm not with him in Australia or New Zealand over there. I don't personally know him, but just seeing his body type in frame, I would imagine he has to cut some sort of weight. Whereas a Carl Williams is coming well below that limit. He's coming in 235, 240, 245. Does weight in the heavyweight division necessarily mean anything?
It definitely does. It definitely does. And cardio means something as well. Because naturally, I do think Carl Williams will have more cardio in the fight. Um, Tafa, he doesn't cut as much weight as I believe Ty does,
I'm sure.
but I'm sure he does. He definitely has to still cut some weight to meet the 265 cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know. I haven't seen how he trains. I haven't seen any videos. I haven't looked that deep into him before. But assuming that he's, like he's nimble, I feel like his quickness, being able to evade, get in and out, is like part of his striking style, especially when it comes to his boxing. I feel like knowing that, some good cardio, like especially facing a guy Carl Williams, like cardio has to be probably one of the main things he focuses on. Like, this is a guy who's not going to try to, he's not going to try to outstrike you. He knows his deficit. He knows he's going to wrestle you, especially smaller guys who want to wrestle him, who are going to have naturally more cardio. That can get dangerous because if you're gassing up before he gasses out, he's also a heavyweight, strong. He can be on top of you just doing whatever he wants all day. It can get really dangerous really fast. And this is purely a game of maybe stamina. This could be first to tire out or first to land the shot. And if Tafa just knows that much, I believe he should be prepared for the fight, prepared for know what's going to happen.
No, I agree. I just feel like in this new age of heavyweight, which it's hard to say because we've seen guys like Stipe, and I'm not saying style wise, I'm talking frame wise. You've seen guys like Stipe come in and be massively successful. We've seen guys like Cyril Gane come in. Again, not small. I'm not saying these guys are small by any means, but their body type is just different because compared to the Mark Hunts, the Tai Tuivasas, the Derek Lewises, like Jazier Rosenstrike, their body type is different. And it's interesting to see how this shift happens. So this is a good, I don't want to say style clash. It is a good style clash, but it's a good almost frame clash. I'm interested to see who comes out on top. I think I'm gonna agree with you. I think I'm gonna take Tafa as well. I don't know. I just something about them Aussies. Something about them Aussies. They got me sold. More times than not, I'm gonna rock with the Aussies. Not gonna lie.
Lace Aussies.
I'm not gonna lie. But that's all I had on that fight. I mean, like I said, we'll see how it goes. Main event: Amanda Ribas, Rose Namajunas. This is Rose's second fight at flyweight. She said throughout the week she's pretty much done at strawweight. She says she can make the cut, but it's not healthy for her body. So we can get used to seeing Rose at 125. That's why this fight actually does indeed mean something, because Amanda Ribas, who is historically in the top 10 of this division,
right,
is a natural player. She's coming off a win, a good win, a knockout. This is a good fight. I'm excited. Are you excited for this fight?
So this is important because I need Rose to win because I need to see her face Valentina
Mm, that's a,
because I think the 3 or 4 best women in the UFC right now are Whaley, Valentina, and Rose. Those are for sure top 3.
Alexa.
Alexa is in there. I think skill wise, she's not as
She's the champ.
skilled as those 3. I don't think
I
she's
don't
as
know. I
skilled.
don't know. I saw her submit Valentina, bro. I saw her do that. It
No,
hates
well,
me to
that's,
say I
that's
saw
the
her do it.
thing. She's a crazy ground game. We know her ground game is great. We know she's a good submission game.
And her
We
striking
know
is
she can handle herself as far as striking goes. But
no, bro. She's
come
an
on,
elite.
man. Come on.
She is a boxer. Alexa Grasso.
Is she as good of a boxer as personally? Whaley and Rose are not even Valentina. I know. The
Rose
more
isn't a boxer.
I'm trying to find a way to like put Grossa like, above those 3, and I think they're all better boxers. They're all better kickboxers. I think she probably has a better ground game than at least Whaley. Probably better than Rose. Possibly, we seen Rose just do some good stuff on the ground though. But
Yeah.
I'd probably say better than Rose. I wouldn't say better than Valentina, but if you have a debatable ground game, and I think the other 2 fighters have better hands than you, I'm gonna have to give it to them.
I'm
I
not
think she's
again. I'm not saying that Alexa Grasso is better than those 3, but
we're splitting hairs here.
I also want you to put some like. And again, I'm the biggest Valentina fan out there, and I'm not gonna lie. Watching both of those fights, I've never watched a Valentina fight, and I was like, I don't know if Valentina has this on the feet until I saw her fight Alexa Grasso. There were times where I was like, man, Valentina, get her to the ground, like please. Like that's how I was feeling in some of those fights, and I had never felt like that because Alexa, and this isn't Alexa's fight. We're going off on a tangent here,
We
but
are.
but Alexa, man, she has that crisp Mexican boxing. I see she's down there with Moreno and them. She's been working it. Nonetheless, again, irrelevant because Rose hasn't beat Amanda Ibas yet. She hasn't beat her.
Right.
She has to do that before she does anything. So how do we see this fight going?
I am gonna go with Rose because when it comes to Ibas, one of the main things about her is she's a low key gamer. Like she'll walk you down and stay in your face the entire time. She has that one problem, like a lot of fighters do, where she gets a little too caught up in being inside. And Rose, she can snipe inside or out. She can hit you with some good combos, or stay on the outside, hit you with some straights, some crosses. And I don't think I think Amanda Ibas is going to maybe land a couple good strikes. She's going to get confident, not forgetting that this is the former champion. She's fighting in Rose, and she's gonna get caught. If she fights smart, I think she has a chance. Sometimes Rose does have a tendency to slow down her striking, not because of tiredness, but sometimes she just has less volume. Just randomly throughout the fight, she'll just slow down her volume. I don't know what determines why she does this. She's done it in several fights in the past, but sometimes her volume just slows down. When she's on and she's connecting and she's doing her thing, she's one of the best. But sometimes she gets complacent and she's not tired. She just lowers her volume. If Rose comes out there and fights the way I know Rose can fight, I think this is I'm not saying domination, but this is going to be a clean and clear victory for Rose. If Rose plays with her a little bit, if Ibas comes in there, gets in that pocket, lands a couple, and she's smart enough to know to back out at times, I think this can get a little something for Rose. Rose may have to, put on a little show.
No, it definitely. You're right. It's very interesting because I would agree. We're just talking about Rose being a top pound for pound fighter. She skill for skill is one of the most skilled women in MMA.
Yep.
So it's not crazy to say that she could outclass Amanda on the feet. She clearly has an advantage. She's more technical. She's quicker. But at the same time, Ribas, man, like you said, she's a gamer. She has Max Holloway vibe. She will get in there and make it dirty. She is not scared to take one. If she makes this dirty, she can definitely win this.
That's the key. That's the key.
Making it dirty.
Yeah.
She definitely can. I'm gonna agree with you also, and say I'm going with Rose here. I think Rose is gonna use her length, use her outside striking precisely for this. Because Amanda has a few ways to victory here. She is, I don't want to say elite on the ground, but she's very good on the ground.
She's good. Yeah.
She can get submissions from any position. So if I'm Rose, I'm not necessarily wanting to take this to the ground unless I literally have to. But she shouldn't have to, because Amanda's not a slouch on the feet. Don't get me wrong. She has finishes on the ground and on the feet. But she almost is similar to Mackenzie Dern, where sometimes she just looks a little awkward on the feet. She looks like her striking just isn't as crisp. You've never watched a Rose Namajunas fight and been like, Rose looks, her striking looks kind of lackadaisical, and she looks kind of awkward. Like Rose is, she's blasting question mark kicks, body kicks, 1-2 like she looks on when she fights.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think as long as she sticks to the game plan, she should be able to get out of there.
For sure. And it's as simple as that. You hit it on the head. If Amanda can make it dirty. Also, I think this is a different weight class for Rose.
It is.
This is something that Rose isn't used to. And maybe fighting a naturally bigger fighter, I don't know how it will affect her. Maybe Rose is up a little slower than she thinks like she'll end up being. Maybe Amanda's just so used to the division. She's used to fighting bigger fighters. Like Rose, I felt strawweight was like really her class. I thought that was really her. I felt like she was almost made. She has a smaller frame. She her arms, her legs, they're skinnier. Like I'm like she's definitely like she's powerful. Don't get me wrong. Like she's not. It's not like she doesn't. Like she's a small woman in the division, but her frame naturally is a smaller frame. And I mean, Amanda naturally is a little bigger. She has a little size to her. She has some frame to her for the flyweight division. So I'm curious if that will play a part. If she can clinch her, kind of lay on her a little bit, land some good knees, maybe some elbows, uppercuts, make it dirty. I'm curious to see if that will affect Rose, and if they do affect Rose, how will she respond?
Well, Rose, her last fight, this is her second fight at flyweight. She fought Manon Firo. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Okay. I forgot about that.
The lady from France who is going to be fighting Erin Blanchfield for the number one contender spot. And Rose lost that fight, unanimous decision, but she looked physically small. Like you could see the difference. You could tell, she is she looked like a strawweight here. Manon looked solid, strong, and her punches, her kicks, all of her strikes had more of an impact. Now, that was in September of last year. Rose has had ample time to maybe transform her body, maybe transform her strength and conditioning. She's been training in Minnesota. She used to train in Colorado, new gym, new system. I don't know. Pat Barry, that guy. I mean, forget about that guy. But still, she's got a new system, she's got new vibes just all around. Will that play a role? Will she look different? Will she look more solid at flyweight? I'm not sure, because I think she can be a real player at flyweight. I mean, when we look at the rankings, again, she's not ranked right now, which is kind of weird because she's pound for pound ranked
3, I think. Is she? I'm sorry, 8. She's 8.
Yeah, she's 8, but it's weird to be pound for pound 8 and not be ranked at all in flyweight. But nonetheless, I'm not gonna say it's open, but it kind of is now that Valentina isn't necessarily dominating the division like she once did. The belt is way more susceptible to be for grabs. I mean, they're gonna run it back, but hypothetically, Alexa Grasso stays champ. I mean, we got girls like Erin Blanchfield, Fiorot, Macy Barber's now ranked 4. I mean, Jessica Andrade at 5. Like,
Jessica
she could
Andrade.
yeah, I know. You, Jessica Andrade. But she could easily win any of those fights. She
Yeah,
could mess around, like you said, and beat Valentina. I don't believe she would, but
I think that's a toss up. I don't know.
I, again, personally, I don't think that she wants those Muay Thai problems. But there's a path for her to get to the belt, though, right?
There's a path, definitely a path. I think that Valentina hurdle is so interesting because here's the thing: outside of Amanda, which that was more of a Muay Thai versus Muay Thai situation, I don't think Val has seen a boxer as good as Rose.
Oh, you mean Alexa?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Rose and Val, because that's gonna be a fight.
Well, no, because you said Amanda. Were you
Oh,
talking
okay. I'm
about?
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
I
agree.
don't think that I don't think there's any like
Joanna?
that's different. No. That's us one of the world's best kickboxers.
I
Like I hear you. There was some good. There's a lot of great striking in that fight, but from a purely boxing, I think I would give that edge to Rose over Ioana still.
yeah, for sure.
And I'm not gonna say Rose is gonna knock out Valentina, but I think Rose could outpoint her. I think she can outpoint her. I
Is
think it's
boxing enough?
possible. I think she can outpoint her with boxing.
Is boxing enough? I don't think so.
For Rose, for Rose, I think it can be the thing. Naturally, I want to say no, but for Rose, I think it can be.
I don't know if we've. I mean, let me think back. Have we really seen Rose be super success? I mean, outside of her fights with Joanna, I don't know if we've seen her be successful with a heavy boxing approach. Usually, I mean, we saw with Wei Lee, the first fight, whatever, it happened early, it happened. In the second fight, we saw Rose have to find different avenues
We
to
did.
get that win. And Whaley has incredible boxing too. So maybe that was the reason, which begs me to show. I mean, if Valentina is like that on the feet, will boxing be enough? I don't know. And Rose can't turn to the ground against a Valentina
Yeah,
like
you
she did
can't.
against
You
Whaley.
can't do that.
that avenue isn't there, buddy. I'm sorry. It's just unfortunately, it's not there. Now, I think I'll concede here. I'll say Rose probably does have better boxing, pure boxing than Valentina. I can be unbiased enough to admit that. I just don't think it'll be enough.
It's interesting matchup. I think that ultimately that's the fight that I would love to see happen, whether it's for a championship, whether it's for contending. Either ways, I know Valentina has to go get that back in blood. She has to,
For sure.
but it's definitely one of the more intriguing matchups in women's fighting right now that I would love to see.
Now, on the other hand, we got Amanda Ribas, who, again, a
There's a path.
consistent player in the top. With wins over Viviana Arujo, who is, I think, ranked 9 right now. She had a tough fight against Macy Barber. That was a very tough fight. I really
It
wanted
was.
her to win that. It was very close. She ended up getting TKO'd, but she went out on her shield. And that's one reason why
Oh gosh.
I
Oh my
really like
gosh.
Amanda Ribas. She went out on her shield. She ended up getting TKO'd, but boy, it was a great. I think it might have got fight of the night. It
It
really might
had
have.
to. It had to be. That was a great chunk. That was a great fight by those two.
That was a good fight. Her last fight against Pinheiro, she hit a spinning wheel kick. Ended up getting the ground and pound finish. She is also a major major player. She's a judo aficionado, elite jujitsu. Well, again, I don't want to say elite jujitsu, but very good jujitsu.
Very good. Yeah.
She can make some noise in this division too.
She can. And that's why, and this is a great test because I don't think Rose can default to wrestling if things get a little weird. I don't, because you may be just in much. No, you will be in more trouble going to the ground with Ribas than I
For sure.
believe you will be striking with her.
For sure.
So very interesting matchup for sure. I'm very curious. It has to be a striking battle for Rose. Has to be.
Yeah, that's how you got to keep it, man. I agree. Where does she debut? I guess would be my question, because it's odd that she is not ranked still. I know she lost her fight, and
They should
I,
still rank her though.
yeah, I mean, bro, she's eighth pound for pound. I don't care if she lost her fight. I'm not saying you got to put her at 3, but could she have slid in at 6, 7?
After a loss, I want to say I understand why not. Uh, yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's six sevens is a great range. Knowing her history, especially with Jessica Andrade being at 5, Iba six
Oh,
seven would have been a place to put her.
you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, sorry, my thing cut out. What would you say? My thing cut out.
Oh, I was saying 6 7. 6 7 would have been a good spot because Andrade being at 5, knowing their history, they've split, but obviously Rose, like we know what it is when it comes to Andrade and Rose, and then obviously she's fighting Ibas already. She's at like what 8? Yeah, I think 6 7 would have been perfect to put her.
All right, I mean, I guess we'll see. Big fight. We'll see where her debut is. We'll see where she can go from here. A lot of good fight. This flyweight division. Valentina did tell us. She told us a few years ago when she was just mowing the division down. People were
Yeah,
talking about, "Hey, Valentina, like, can you go fight Amanda? We want to see it." And she said, "Well, why would I do that when I got killers? I got killers in here in the flyweight division." And now we're seeing that. Aaron Blanchfield, Firo, Macy Barber, Jessica Andrade, whether you like her, whether you hate her, she's always a player in whatever division she's in.
she is.
Amanda Hebas, Tracy Cortez, she's had success. This is a great division. Very excited to see it. Very excited to see this fight. Overall a good card, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure. This one should be pretty exciting. I think it definitely has the capability to be surprising to a lot of people's eyes. I feel like there's definitely upset possibility here.
Mhm.
This should be a good card for sure.
For sure. I guess next, just keeping on with the card, we got plays of the week, man. Where do you have any plays this week?
Oh, I do. I do have me a play.
I'll just tell you. I'll tell you my play. My play. I'm going with the hometown kid. I kind of alluded to this before. I'm going with the OH AJ Dobson plus 175. Strong style alum. He's the local kid. I think he has great value here, especially as somebody who's a strong grappler going against a guy who has essentially minimal grappling defense. I think this could be a steal as long as he doesn't get so caught up on the feet and get in the mentality of, hey, let's trade. As long as he doesn't have that mindset, he has to realize, hey, I know me. If it's going well on the feet, let's stay on the feet. The moment I feel trouble, hey, let's clinch. Let's get it to the ground. Like I
Quickly.
said, plus 175. It's a good play.
My play. Very surprised looking at Justin Tafa at plus 150. Very surprised by that. Uh, make you some money. Put him in your parlay, hypothetically, but throw him in there
Hypothetically.
because plus 150. I mean, come on now. Look at the film. Watch the film. The film would tell you what it needs to show you. If he can come out and do what he usually does, hey, now make you some money.
That's definitely a solid play, man. Good plays. Include those in your parlay. Give us credit if you listen, and hypothetically, if you listen, we want the credit because we deserve it. Next we have the sell me a fight, man. I'm gonna build off of your card that you sold me last week. Last
Okay.
week,
Okay.
you told me, hey, pound for pound versus pound for pound, 1 versus 2. You wanted Zhang Weili versus Alexa Grasso. And you
Yep.
wanted it in Mexico, which is a
Yeah.
very important part because I wasn't sure if you were going to go in China, if you were going to go at T-Mobile in Vegas. You went Mexico. Alexa, pound for pound, makes sense. And it's very interesting because we definitely see women headline cards. We don't see it as much. We probably should see it a little more. And it's very interesting trying to find a co-main that is very cohesive to the
Right.
card. I think I found one. And it's not something that we haven't seen before. It's one that we've seen it a long time ago though. Things have changed, things have rearranged, to be quite honest.
So do they.
for sure. I'm selling Max Holloway versus Ortega 2. And the reason I'm doing there's many reasons I'm doing that. That's the who.
Mm-hmm.
That's the what. When, where in Mexico. They have ties. Ortega
do.
just fought in Mexico City. He is of Mexican descent, speaks fluent Spanish. They love them down there. Max Holloway is a fan favorite wherever he goes. He could go to Africa, Europe, Asia, America, like wherever he goes, he'd go to Antarctica. The Penguins are gonna love him. Like it doesn't matter where he goes.
Hey,
He is a fan favorite. So you don't got to worry about any of that. The biggest question is why.
that was a bar, by the way.
It was. I mean, hey.
That was a
Hey,
bar.
I don't even need to say anything. The big question is the why, because most people are going to say, well, Dylan, we've seen that fight already. We saw how it went. Max controlled him on the feet. He held his hands up. He taught him how to put your guard up. We seen that happen. Why do we need to see that again? What does this matter? Blah 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 blah. Hey, let me just break it down for you. We saw that fight in 2018. That's a long ago. We saw Conor fight Habib in 2017. That's like the same distance. That's a long time ago. Both fighters are still at the top of the division. They're still at the top of their game. They both could be fighting for titles. Volkanovski, in this scenario, he's fighting Ilya in Spain. He gets his rematch. He's taking that. Max Holloway just defeated Justin Gaethje. He just defeated him. He needs a fight. Ortega just beat Yair in Mexico City. He needs a fight. The fans loved him, but he needs a fight. Let's pair these two guys up, man. Let's pair them up. They're, like I said, 5, 6. By this time, it'll be 6 years have passed. Max is still Max. Ortega is still Ortega. But we could argue Ortega's more dangerous than he's ever been. I mean, we just saw him take out Yair, who Max, I'm not going to say he struggled with Yair, but it was it was a very tough fight. And we saw Brian go in there and take him out. So I think putting Max on this card, putting Max on any card, bro, is like a cheat code.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Every fan loves him. Ortega is, maybe a little more controversial as far as whether people like him or not, but down there they love him. Around here they love him. I don't know. I think that would be a good co-main. You might even make it 5 rounds. I mean, why not? We know they got the cardio. This is a title eliminator. Let's make it 5 rounds. We've seen them do it with Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis, and we saw how that went. It ended early, so why not make it 5 rounds? That's the fight I'm selling as co-main. What do we think?
I think that's actually a really good. That's really good, honestly. You got the Mexican fighters fighting in Mexico City. That's huge. Especially making it's a title eliminator. Making a 5-round fight would be crazy. You have the championship fight. Already being for a championship in Mexico City. Those will be 2 back-to-back very exciting fights just because of who's in the fights and what they can do. I'm on board with that. I think that's very interesting. That's very interesting because you first said Ortega. That was the one. I was like, we know Max is Max. He's a cheat code. You put him on any card. I was like, do I really want to see Ortega run that back again? But you're right. It's been a long time.
5 years.
He's gotten better. I thought he was going to lose to Yair, but you say he got Yair up out of there on a bad ankle.
On a bad ankle.
Like that. You got to factor that in there. Like, to be honest, he's better. He can get still a little lazy with his defense,
Oh, for
but I mean, at the end of the day, if he can get you a takedown, a trip, he's going to be willing to strike with you, standing up, throwing hooks and jabs and whatnot. Max, he's a gamer. He's going to be with that too. And at the end of the day, I think that can really has a lot of firework capability there. I like that.
I think that was a great observation you just made. They're both. We know Max is a gamer. That's just who he is. Ortega is just as much of a gamer. We saw how he fought Volkanovski. We saw how he fought Yair. He is not scared of anything on the feet. He will trade with anybody. His fights are exciting.
Yep.
He's not going in there and just hugging them and going straight to the clinch. Like he's not fiending for these takedowns. He will go in there and give the fans a good fight. And it's easy to come out here and try and make a fight and say, hey, let's do Islam versus Leon and let's do this, that. No, like this is a realistic fight that honestly should be happening depending on what Volkanovski does in real life. It should be happening in real life because I mean, you look at the featherweight rankings. You got Max at 2, you got Brian at 3. Yair's at 4. He just lost. You got Mobs, you got Evilov. I don't think he has necessarily earned a title eliminator fight yet. I would like to see him versus a Josh Emmett versus a Calvin Kattar.
Yep.
So this fight should be run back. I'm sure Ortega wants that back, man. This dude held his hands up and taught him how to put guard in the middle of a fight. And then he went on a podcast after and he's like, "Yeah, man, I had to teach Ortega how to block the 1-2." Like, you don't think Ortega doesn't want that back?
Disrespectful. Disrespectful. I'll show you how to block a 1-2.
Yeah, showed him how to block a 1-2 mid-fight, man. I know Ortega wants that fight back. So that's what I'm going with. We're just gonna fill this whole card. This is gonna be a 5-fight pay-per-view card.
Main card coming next week.
Hey, want to see what else you got for it next week. Last segment of the day, we got our debate of the day. I'll let you introduce it.
Debate of the day. So for this one, I wanted to. It's a tale as old as time. We want to introduce a debate that has it's rustled some feathers. It can go either way, I believe, but the possibility of giving us live scoring during fights. It's interesting because when you look at the dynamic, you see a lot of close fights. We've talked about O'Malley and Yan. We've talked about just the other day. We talked about Rose and Wei Li. Close fights where I can only imagine if they were able to see what was going on or know what was going on round for round as it was happening, how they could have went differently. And it makes me curious, like, what do you think about that? What do you think about the introduction of possibly live scoring?
Right. I see the positives and the negatives. I see why people want live scoring, bro. We can't have live scoring in MMA. I'm sorry, we can't. I see the positives. I see what you just said. You know, if you're fighting and at the end of the round, you know exactly what the judges are thinking, you know what you need, you know what you don't need, you know how many strikes. I understand. I'm not sure if the PFL I don't think they do live scoring. They're close to doing it. I understand it, bro. We can't have that. The main reason we can't have that, if I'm in a fight and I win the first 2 rounds, me personally, I'm cool. I'm getting especially the higher I get. If I'm a prelim fighter, if I'm trying to make a name for myself, I'm not gonna care. I don't care what the score is. I'm going in there to get it finished. Man, if I have a ranking, I'm not risking that. I'm up 20-18. I'm not risking that. I'm gonna spar this third round. I'm sparring. I'm going to touch. I'm going to make it look like I'm doing stuff, but ultimately, I am not going for a finish. Even if the fight is close, especially if the fight's close. If the fight is super close and I know for a fact that I'm winning 2-0, I don't care how close the fight is. I'm sparring. Like, that's just what it is. So,
Don't we want more exciting fights? Like, don't we get
is that
tired of
exciting?
the? Yeah, because think if you're in the same scenario, if you're the fighter that's down, and it's some close rounds, and let's say they gave 2-0 to you, what do I do? I now have to go for it. I know the only way I can come out this fight, unless my will has been broken, I need to go get me a finish here. In submission, it has to be a knockout. If I'm gonna take you down, I'm taking you down with purpose. I can't just lay and pray, thinking that I may have won another round. Think about that. Think about all the close fights that in the third round, someone went for a takedown, thinking they secured some other round in the fight, and that just secured them the win. When now they lost the fight now. Just to think back, if
True.
I only would have knew. If I only would have knew. You know what? You can know. And by knowing, you would have went for a finish, making it more exciting, giving us more theatrics. This is no telling what could have happened.
Just imagine, let me paint this picture for you. Imagine Kamaru versus Colby.
Okay.
Kamaru versus Colby. If either of those guys knows they're winning, do you think that goes the same way? Like, I am just not sure. I'm not sure that this results in more finishes. It might result in more recklessness, but I'm not sure it results in more finishes because, especially if I have a wrestling advantage, especially if I have a clinch advantage, if I have any type of close encounter advantage and I know I'm winning, I'm going to clinch for as long as I can, break. Let's trade a little to make it look like, I'm not running, to make it look blah, blah, blah. We're going to strike. Hey, clinch. Don't let me get a takedown because now I'm going to lay on you. Now I'm not, and I'm not even going for the finish. I'm position over submission.
Crazy.
Like, I don't know. I can't see this. I see why certain fighters would want that, because in every other sport there really isn't much guessing.
That's my other point. My other point was in other sports, there isn't guessing into the score, what's going on, or what you need to do to win. So I was
But
thinking, I
the
mean, why should this exclude? Why should this be any different?
because the reason is because in every other sport there's a clear goal. Football, you get 6 points when you score a touchdown. Basketball, you're getting 2 points, maybe even 3, depending on what you get. In baseball, if you touch home plate, that is a run. Fighting is not like that. There is no, other than a knockout, there is no consensus way to score. We've seen where people outland the other person in total strikes, but they lost the fight by decision because that other person did more damage to their face. A lot of it's subjective, and for that reason, that's, it can't be compared to these other sports.
I hear it. I do hear it. And what you're saying does make sense. I think it really makes the judges have to own up to what they also listed as well. In too many fights, we see bad judging, and after Bruce Buffer gives the cards, they're skedaddling. They're
Get out of
gone.
there.
They're out of there. Like I would love for Dana to start putting those judges on the on the press conference after the fight. That
No,
would be great.
I do. That is, and honestly, that is a major reason as to why I would, because I would like judges to be held accountable. I remember when Valentina and Alexa Grasso tied. And again, I forget the judge's name because it was so hard to go find out who the judge was. I definitely looked it up and I found it. I want to say Mike Bell, but I'm not really sure. It was incredibly hard to go find that. If it came out after each round what each judge said, I feel like that would hold them more accountable. But bro, there's other ways to hold these judges accountable. Like you just said, put them up in front of the press. The refs in football have to answer
They do.
for calls they make that are subjective. Because again, the scoring might not be subjective in these other sports. Refereeing in any sport, for the most part, is always subjective. So NFL refs have to answer. NBA refs have to answer, especially when they make a bad call. How many times have we seen the NFL or the NBA come out and say, "Nah, like we blew that. Like we definitely
People
missed
get
that
sick.
call."
They get
We've
sick.
seen it. It doesn't really mean anything, but at least we can hold the refs accountable for the future.
Right.
In MMA, these judges, they're not being held accountable. So I can see the reason why live scoring might fix that. I just personally think a lot of people might begin to coast. And isn't it fun kind of
It is. Don't get me
being
wrong.
watching the fights and you don't know what the score is, man. It's a good guessing game. You're with your buds, you're like, man, I don't know. He landed a little more damage that round. Like, I think they might give that to so and so. Nah, bro, they can't give it to so and so. He did this. He got a takedown at the end. Like, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I think it's interesting to just
It
walk
is.
through that personally and then compare after the fight.
It is. You're definitely right. It can be exciting. It can just get so frustrating when you're watching these close fights, especially. And then I don't know, like you said, there's no way to really tell. But even in the fights that are a little lackluster, a little more boring, I think it could boost a little bit of that. Okay, I need to go out here and do something, or I'm gonna have an L in my column. So I don't know. There's no way to really tell that without someone trying it. I would love to see the PFL or even one possibly implementing something like that just so we can see what it does for the fights. And if it goes well, I mean, I believe Dana could definitely think about it at the least bit, especially if it works. But if not, hey, at least someone tried it. And I would love to see someone try. But at the end of the day, at the worst, put them judges on the stand. Put them on the stand. Give me 15, 20 minutes. Let the press go to town. Make them answer for their mistakes.
Yeah.
All
Like,
I want.
why did you have it 49-46 for one fighter, but these two judges had it 48-47 both for the other? Like, stuff like that.
Sweating,
I,
sweating, beating down.
I do agree. And I also agree. I'm pretty sure there is an organization that does live scoring. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think there is. I would love to see it. I don't think we're ever going to see that in the UFC. I mean, we know Dana White. We know how
Yeah,
stubborn he can be. So
he's very.
I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon, but I don't know. Let us know what you think in the comments. Would y'all like to see live scoring? I would like to see y'all opinion. Good card, man. Good card, good recap, good show. Episode 6. We're flowing, we're going. Very interested to see how this week goes. We got UFC 300. It's on the horizon,
Around
man.
the
It's
corner.
looming. It's approaching. Got a few more weeks. But like I said, good card. Check out tomorrow, Wire to Wire page, 2 p.m. We got Cottrell Simpson. Real recognized real. He's doing breakdowns. They're getting better each and every week.
For sure.
I've tuned into each one. I'm learning new things about these prospects that I didn't even know about. And I thought I was a football aficionado, and he's pointing things out. So go check that out. Anything else you got for him, Ronnie?
Not particularly. I'm gonna spend too much time on it, but since episode 1, we even talked about this. How's mixed martial arts? How's boxing? How's that been going for you?
Oh man, that's tough. It's good. I'm still in there. Haven't fully started training mixed martial arts. I haven't fully committed to that. I need to. I want to start grappling. I want to get into jiu-jitsu. I want to learn those things. It's I'm not gonna lie, it's intimidating, man. It's intimidating going into something where, me, I'm a perfectionist. When I started doing these boxing classes, kickboxing classes, I picked it up super fast because it just came natural. I know jiu-jitsu is not gonna come
You
natural.
never know.
I know. I need to. But overall, like I said, it's going good. The boxing, kickboxing, I've been sparring a little bit. It's a lot of fun. I encourage everybody. If you watch this show, I don't care if you have zero experience, if you have 100 hours of experience. I don't care if you're 15 years old. I don't care if you're 60 years old. I think everybody should at least try out a real boxing class and see how it is. It's a different way to train. It's a different way to get cardio. Me personally, I'm not a fan of running. I can't just go and run. Maybe track from high school scarred me. I can't just go on a treadmill and run, bro. I can't do it. I don't really like biking unless it's for a warm up. But boxing, it'll get you tired. It'll leave you fulfilled after. I don't know. I see the benefits of it. I'm gonna continue doing it. Maybe one day you'll see me talking about my own fight on this show. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I appreciate you asking that. That's all we got, man. It was another good show. We'll see you here again next week. Talk to y'all later. Peace.